Oh, and I took a
Yes, I think so. Because that's what you say, and that's what's on our St. Patrick's Day, that's what they do. That's a lot of
Call our monthly meeting to order, this being March 1st, 2022. If everyone will please rise and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. At this point in time, we will remember our departed brother in law enforcement, who was a lieutenant here at the town of Sparta Police Department, Mr. Rex White. We'll also take a moment of silence and remember the brave men and women who are fighting for their freedom in Ukraine. Thank each and every one of you. You may be seated. Council members, it's good to have our Councilwoman Millie Richardson back with us. Thank you for being back. Hope everything's good to go. We also want to remember our other council member, Terry McGrady, who is under the weather and recovering at home. So we want to remember him here tonight too also. You have before you the agenda here for tonight. At this time, I'll accept any additions or changes to the agenda. I do have an addition, and that will be the presentation that will follow.
Mr. Mayor, I have just a couple of quick questions on zoning and also on snow removal. Just a couple of quick questions.
We'll put that under other business under item number 13.
Be great.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as it is.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. All in favor, a show of hands, please. 4-0. You also have before you the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting from February 1st, 2022. And I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes when needed.
So moved. Second.
And a second. All in favor, a show of hands. 4-0. Thank you very much. Before I open the floor for the public comments at this time, I want Coach Matthew Linker and his team to come in here. Matthew, if you line them up right up here and
Yes, sir.
right here for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you the Allegheny High School wrestling team that went down to the state tournament, kicked a little tail, and took 5th place in the state. These guys are just remarkable. And I told them outside, the key about being a good wrestler is it's one-on-one. And when you're on that mat, you're the only one that's going to get the credit, or you're going to get the blame for you losing. And that's the way it is. Ain't that right, guys? There's 4 of them that went into the state tournament and played. This time I'd like to bring out Isaac Stoker. Isaac, if you'll come on up here. That means come toward me. That's all right. Now, Isaac also plays football. Hurt his neck. We didn't even know he was going to get to wrestle, did we? The man comes back, bounces back. He's a sophomore in school, finishes 4th in the state of North Carolina. That deserves something special right there. And he helped this team to that overall 5th place. And Isaac, I expect to bring you back here the next 2 years, state champion, my friend. Great job. When he got hurt, the first person he seen on the football field, I think, was Coach Linker. And he said, "Who is the big red bearded leprechaun?" Is that the way it went, Isaac? Something like that, right? Coda Blight. Where's Coda at? Coda is a senior. He goes out in style, taking 3rd place in the state. Coda, and I've known this young man for quite a while. I hired him as a wrestler for hire one time to come out to the farm one time and do some work on the farm. Made him feel sandbagged. Made him feel right at home, didn't he? But Coda's going into the United States Navy to fight for his country. He deserves a round of applause. Marcus Sakahom, is that right? Is that how I say it? Marcus, outstanding young man, only a sophomore. Came out of nowhere this year and just truly excelled. Am I right, Coach? Went to the state, lost to the state champion. Finished 2nd in the state. As a sophomore, I expect to see you here in the next 2 years also, young man. There you go. I've known this young man for a long time. Now, I'm gonna steal the words of another coach that had you for a long time, Randy Murphy, who's at home recuperating from heart surgery. And he told me if he had 11 of those hearts right there that beat that young man, we'd have an undefeated football team no matter who we played. That's what Randy Murphy said. Bryson's a senior. He goes out in style, losing to the eventual state champion. He finished second in the state. Bryson, you're a fine young man. I can't wait to see what happens to you in the future. Congratulations, my friend. Last award that I'm going to give is something that I give out once a year to somebody that makes a difference in our community. That man this year is Mr. Matthew Lincoln. Matthew Lincoln, as mayor of the town of Sparta, on behalf of the town council and all the citizens of Sparta, Matthew, you're hereby awarded the Sparta Spirit Award for 2022 for his outstanding leadership in our schools and community, for being an inspiration to us all and leading our youth in the right direction. Sparta Spirit Award, Coach. Nobody's ever done. Give them all another round of applause. I appreciate you coming out. And the rest of the guys, this rest right here is the rest of the team. Tell me what your name is, son.
Jason Blinder, Cameron Ward.
And you guys are all youngsters coming back, right?
Right.
I expect to see you up here at this podium next year.
No pressure.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Our town attorney's here. She was called up outside. There's no place to park. She's here. That's good. I just want to say this, as them young men walk out, the youth is our future, folks. And if we don't take care of our youth and we don't support our youth, our future is going to be pretty dim. Those are your future leaders that walked out the door, future business owners, for some future attorneys, council members, mayors, whatever it be. We have to take care of our youth at all costs. And with that being said, I'll shut up. I'm going to open the floor up for our public comments, and citizens are encouraged to comment at this time, specifically on the items on the agenda. And this is a 3-minute session, so when you come to the podium, if you want to comment, I'll give you 3 minutes to, you say, state your name and go through your comments. All the agenda items will follow after that, and then we'll have another comment at the end. There being no movement, we will close our public comments at the beginning of our meeting. Now we will go into a business. We will start off with agenda item number 5, is an event request by Mr. David Higgins.
Good evening, folks. My name is David Higgins with the Blight Creek Fire Department, and I want to congratulate those wrestlers. What a job they've done. That's great to see these young men doing this. But we're here tonight to, I know y'all been doing the events on Main Street. We just want to see about doing gospel singing on Main Street is what we want to see about for the fire department and try to raise a little money for Blight Creek. So that's basically, we've not got any dates or anything set, but we don't know what all y'all have lined up or when we could, so we just want to see if we can do it to start with. That's.
So where are you thinking about doing it, on the courthouse lawn?
Yeah, that's what we had in mind, doing on courthouse lawn.
I'm assuming you do it on a Sunday.
Well, I don't know. It's nothing definite on that, but we could do it on a Friday night or Saturday night or Sunday, whatever we could get lined up with you all and to see when we could do it.
Mr. Higgins, would you like tentative approval to move forward with that project?
I would.
That's a big motion that I'd make.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Show of hands in favor of tentatively approving this event is a 4-0.
Mr. Higgins, if you have just a moment, I had a couple of questions about events.
Yes.
Of course, we're all in eager anticipation of summer season coming up. Do you plan to do some mudslings this summer?
Not now. No, we planned one, but due to a whole lot of difficulties and the price of the water was our main factor that we canceled out.
Well, Mr. Higgins, that was a point I wanted to bring up and share with my fellow council members. It's my understanding that you were told at some point that you would be charged for the water for this event, and that was news to me. Now, in the absence of Mr. McGrady, since I am sitting at his place, I would like to share with you guys. Of course, Mike knows in our county fire protection system is a mutual agreement. When we have a call for the Sparta Volunteer Fire Department in the Sparta Allegheny Fire District, David and his boys go to the firehouse and they're on standby. And if they're needed here, they're here. If they might be needed at another fire in our district, they're here. By the same token, Cherry Lane is their standby, Law Spring, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems quite ludicrous to me that we would charge volunteers for water to have an event to raise money to pay their costs so they can voluntarily be available to save our property should it catch on fire. I don't know who made that decision. It was certainly news to me, but I think it's in the very least inappropriate and unacceptable. Now, we provide water to our Sparta Allegheny Fire Department, of course, and that's good. But I just wanted you all to know, and I don't know whether you did know, but I think whoever made that decision, I don't think it was a good one, and I think it should certainly be dropped. That the least that we can do for these volunteers is help them raise money so they can continue to volunteer to save our property and keep our property, our homeowners' taxes down. So, Mr. Manager, would you know where this sprang from?
I would. That would be the state of North Carolina. That says we can't give free water to anyone.
And when
So-
did the state of North Carolina make you aware of
Many
that?
years.
Many
They've had
years.
that in place for many years. So same reason that we no longer give free water to anyone.
What about the Sparta Allegheny Volunteer Fire
From my
Department?
understanding, we bill everyone for water.
And would you reference an ordinance, a state general statute to
I'll
that
be
effect?
glad to provide you one after the meeting.
I mean, I know you can't off the top of your head.
Sure.
Well, I think that it would be a good idea to look into that a little further. I've never heard of that, and we gave water to the volunteer fire department here before, and nobody came up here and closed us down. So, how did we find out about this new law?
That would have been the conversation we had at the budget meetings last year about the free water we were given to multiple entities.
Right, and I do recall that. I don't recall any general statute saying that we couldn't give away water. Maybe I wasn't listening.
Okay.
David,
We do respond to all Sparta structure fires.
yeah.
And we're glad to. That's no
We-
problem.
That's
We've
how-
all had mutual aid agreements there over the years.
Oh,
and everything. Why can't you pump it out of the creek?
It's just, when you get up there and get busy, it's just hard to run to the creek and get water and haul back and forth. And I mean, like, when you first start out putting water in the pit, you can do that, but once you get up there the night of the event, it's just, you get too tied up and too busy, you really do.
I was wondering if you could, set one of your trucks at the creek and have your tank, or your portable tank
Yeah,
up there, where you could pump it out of it. I mean, it's.
yeah, we looked at the little creek up there, but it's kind of iffy.
Would it be conceivable that we would stand by the law, certainly, and charge the volunteer fire department for the water and turn around and make a donation to offset that cost?
That is this council's decision. And to clarify, the water price was reduced to cost level, period.
I understand. So you've already made this decision that we're gonna let them pay for the water and give them their money back as a donation.
I can't make that decision. This council
So-
could do that as
Okay,
a
Well, how much-
method.
How much money are we talking
Depends on how many gallons.
How many gallons do you use, David, out there?
I'll be honest, I mean, we sit down and try to figure out from the past, those, y'all have put meters on them, so we keep up, and it's gonna run for around $1,000 is what it's gonna cost us.
and Mr. Higgins, can I just ask you, and I know you're just off the top of your head, I'm putting you at a disadvantage. Can we safely say that these mudslings average 1,500 to 2,000 people?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna run 2,000 or more.
And I think we can safely say that those 1,500, 2,000 people over and above having a wonderful time come to our town and they go out to eat and they go to the grocery or to the service stations, they buy gas and et cetera, et cetera. So the economic benefit of this is way, way, way more than $1,000. So do I need to make a motion that we charge them for the water and then donate that amount back to them to compensate them for that charge? If I can make that motion, I will.
Here's another concept that we're gonna have to look at, and I'm not against the fire departments in any way. Okay?
Yes,
This is directly coming. We have another individual that likes to put on mudslings. Are we gonna give him the water to do the mudslings also?
He's not a volunteer. He's doing it as
But he's
business.
bringing business into the community.
He is.
And do we do for one that we do for all? For instance, let me go back to what happened in our town situation. We cannot give free water to one individual unless we give free water to every individual, no matter what they do, whether it be a business, whether it be a residence, or whether it be churches. We have to treat everybody equal across the board.
And I think that's a very certainly valid point, Mr. Mayor. But I believe in the case of this particular volunteer organization who voluntarily saves us a lot of money and protects our home and hearth, that I think my motion stands. I make a motion, we charge them for the water and then donate the money back to them.
Have a motion on the floor
Can we do that for a non-agenda item?
We can do it if we're all sitting here.
we can. It has not been our preference to do such thing, but you can, once the motion has been made, that, well, that's true, because we did go back, we had the approval of the agenda before. So we had the approval of the agenda for, now you can put this on next month's agenda and we can vote on it then, but we already have the approval of the tonight's agenda, I'm sorry.
If that's what you all would rather, but I think if we look at the rule book, I can make a motion and we can approve it tonight and be done with it. Mr. Higgins
Well-
can go back to planning his event.
What I've done is I've got it written right here, Millie, that we have the approval of the agenda as it is, and there is no additions, and you had a chance to make that addition
Okay,
All
I
right,
make a
so-
motion that we put this on the agenda for
for the month of April.
April meeting, and then, Mr. Higgins, we will take the vote
okay.
and
So-
take care of this matter, so you can go back to dragging in lots and lots of people.
And also, this will also give the manager time to get the statute that you need.
Right, well,
So that way we'll
he's
have-
already explained that, I'm all for it, but I think we've gotten around it. in a
But,
legal way.
okay, so I have a motion to put this on the April agenda. Do I have a second?
I say it.
Okay, I have a second. All in favor, show of hands, please.
I'll-
All against? 3-1.
And of course, I mean, all the profit when we have these, I mean, it's not all profit. They've got expenses though. Before we turn the wheel, we've got $7,000 invested in those things, so. And now they're talking about maybe TBA might help us on some advertising or something, so that would help some, but.
Well, that's excellent, but we need to help you in the way that
It
we
is,
can help.
it is a costly event if you put big trucks and stuff.
Well, I know in
I
years
still
past, they have pumped water out of the creek, and I mean, that's plenty of water flowing right there. I mean,
It's just.
when you can get it for free.
I can't help believe that you can't get your water out of Bearsall Creek if you had a pump sitting there pumping water all the time and putting it in your drop tank.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
we done that years ago, and we run into a lot of problems, filling stuff up with sand and stopping up strainers, and it just,
It's,
Or if you just use a hell pump and just have a hell pump sitting there. Cause I mean, there's a hose run from the fire hydrant all the way across the road. I mean, it wouldn't be any different to have one run from the creek all the way up to your pit if you're worried about filling your pit.
so, I mean, the pit's not as, I mean, when you're adding water to it, but filling it's not so bad. Cause we fill it a couple days ahead of time, so we go to the creek and get it. That's not no big problem, all right. But the night of the event, You got so much going on, it's hard to take care of a lot of different problems.
We really can't ask these volunteers to voluntarily work, but so hard to make money to voluntarily protect our property is my thought.
While I'm here, I would like to mention something. It's not on the agenda, but just to bring it up to you. Down at the training facility,
Yes, sir.
there is a place for a hydrant. And that training facility's been in for years. And we talked with the county says it's y'all's land. So I don't know whose land it is or what, but every time we go to them, they say it belongs to the town, so I don't
I
know.
don't know about
I
that.
don't,
I can speak to that. That is a joint effort between the town and the county.
Yeah.
The county does technically own that. Obviously, that facility is provided by town utilities, so it's our water that comes to that facility for training. There was an issue with that hydrant and the water system that was installed, and the town and county is working on that jointly.
That's
So
great, yeah.
hopefully, after cold weather, that will be a project we can complete.
Okay.
Wonderful.
David, let me say this before you step down, that everyone up here on this council, everyone in this room, and everyone watching on that TV right there sincerely appreciates the efforts of all of our fire departments across this county. Without you volunteers, we would have many houses and we'd have many businesses that burned to the ground. Let it not be known that we don't appreciate you guys.
Oh,
And we love you to death, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your service, because it takes special individuals to be volunteers for all your lives to go out here and put people's fires out that you don't even know. Thank you.
well, we appreciate y'all. We do have, the whole county is fortunate to have the volunteers they do, so.
Yes, sir.
And we do thank y'all tonight, and I'll be back in touch.
We'll put that on
We'll get something lined up.
get something lined up. Thank you,
Thank you,
David.
Mr. Hill.
Appreciate for all you do.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 6 is the Arts Council presentation to the council by Barbara Halsey.
I made you, if you'll take one and pass it on.
Thanks.
I'm Barbara Halsey, President of Allegheny Arts Council, and I stand before you tonight because of one individual on the town council that got me into this many years ago, and I appreciate it, John Brady.
Excuse me.
As the paper is coming around, I want you all to know that I used my home printer and I ran out of colored ink, and I did not want to waste paper. So the logo that is on the front of yours is really in these colors, not red and purple that you might have in front of you. Okay, I remember standing here a few years ago when John Miller called me down and told me I talked long enough and I needed to stop, so I don't want to get called down tonight. But I want all of you to look at this, and I'm here tonight to make you aware that 16 volunteers, and a lot of them are here tonight in this room, and if you are on the Allegheny Arts Council, would you please stand? And there's some out in the hall as well. These people are all volunteers, and they give their time and their commitment to you all and to this community. And looking at the form in front of you, I just wanted to make you aware of what the Arts Council is doing to make an impact on this community. And it is truly an economic impact. The Backwoods Speak Singer-Songwriter Committee, Mike DeVos and I co-chair that. This is our 7th year that we are doing this, and it was done in memory of T.J. Worthington. And this year we're adding the art festival to it, which there's a big article in the paper today about that. And the Beat Goes On series is where we bring singer-songwriters into Muddy Creek Music Hall. And this is a ticketed event, and these people are from everywhere. I put them down in front of you to see. But most of these have all been sellouts. We've had trouble with COVID the previous 2 years. And the two that we were able to bring in this year were total sellouts, and there were people from everywhere at those events. And the next page is Saturday in the Park. This is something new that we started last year. And I remember several of you being at those events. And some of you called me over and said you really appreciated it and that you hoped we would do it again. And we are doing it, and it will start in May 28th. Elvis will be in town. And then we skip June because we have the Backwoods Beat Music Festival. And we go continue July 30th with the beach band. We have a bluegrass band coming in August. And we have our local Big Daddy Love people coming back to us in September. Music on Main was given to the town, to the Arts Council this year by the chamber, and we are collaborating with each other. And we have put the dates here. We are moving it to Saturday because we had many requests from people saying, we get up here on Friday afternoon to go to our cabin, and it's late, and we go get settled in, and we don't come back out. Would you ever consider moving it to Saturday? We would like to come and be a part of it. And so this was done for that reason, and also not to interfere with any of the sporting events at the high school. We're trying to avoid that. So we have the dates, and I'm working very hard along with the committee to book 5 months of music, and we're making great progress in that, and that'll be released soon. We have our mural program that Diane Morrison is chair of. We have our Blue Ridge Read program where everybody in the community reads the same book, and Carol Green is our liaison from our board to that group. We have our fundraising program that Brent Burgess chairs. In May, we're having a huge fundraiser for Music on Main that Sue Talley chairs. A new event this year is Taste of the Arts, and our chairs are Ephraim Whitehead, Stephen Rash, John Porter, and Madison Story, and they're doing a super job with that. And then we partner with the schools, the theater, the Historical Society Museum, the Allegheny County Public Library, the Wellness Center, and Allegheny Writers. And that means those are not programs that we sponsor, but if they come to us and ask for money, we partner with them and give them money to produce the programs that they do. And then I've taken the liberty of putting down all the board members and their professions because I just wanted you to see you've got a well-qualified group of volunteers working in this community. And I meet once a month with all the Arts Council presidents from Western North Carolina, and I'm one of 2 that's a volunteer. They all have paid positions. So I would love for you all to give this board a hand because they are doing an incredible job.
Ms. Halsey,
Yes.
wonderful presentation. Certainly appreciate all the hard work you do. We have other events that are already on, or I have another event that's already on Saturday, that's already committed for Saturday. And of course, that's a cruise in, and they locked that in last year. And my correspondence with them, they are assuming that they still have that Saturday. So unilaterally moving events around is those folks are already locked in on that Saturday. And then there is a matter of our local business, the Jubilee on Main Street.
Mhm.
And those folks have been there for 35 years. Has never asked anybody for a penny to do anything. And their big night is Saturday night. So I don't know that, I mean, I'm assuming that we have the authority to say what events are going to be held at what particular times, that, which you stated that you had moved it, but doesn't it need to come before us? And at that point, we'd say, well, that we see your point, but we can't really say, come up here and shut down Main Street and deny these people, this business, deny them the opportunity to have one of their 4 big nights that they have each month. So are you stating that you're having it on Saturday night, or are you requesting to move it to Saturday night?
Nellie, I certainly understand what you're saying, and I certainly would never have done that without permission. And I met with our town manager and asked his permission before I did this. Or before we did it, Barbara didn't do it all by herself. And your concern about the Jubilee, if you think about the Jubilee, and that is a wonderful program, we're part of the Blue Ridge Music Trails, I'm on that board, and I totally support them. On Saturday night and Tuesday night, they pack the town, and that is a wonderful thing. I cannot imagine how moving Music on Main to Saturday night would do nothing but enhance their business, because it's bringing maybe 1,000 people into town, some of whom have never been in the Allegheny Jubilee, and they'll park and go in there and hear beautiful traditional music that will make them want to come back. And I think it's going to give them business. And if parking's a concern, I've never been to Blowing Rock and tried to get to some place that I had a parking space. If you have it, you will find a place to park. And I think that parking will be available. I think the town and all of you work graciously with us to make these things happen. And I just think it will make the business even better for Jubilee. And it's 5 times a year. They have Jubilee every Tuesday and Saturday night all year long. So they're
Certainly.
requesting 5 times.
Certainly respect that. You have valid points. Mr. Wilmoth, it seems to me that every night we have a meeting that we have numerous requests for events and you bring them before us. So at this particular time, you just unilaterally made that decision and didn't see any
No,
point in
ma'am.
asking
That is on
us.
the agenda for my manager to report.
Okay, so we have, well, bless your heart. I wondered if things had changed. I was out
No,
for
I'm
2
trying
months,
to stay ahead.
I have a question, Barbara,
yeah,
for
definitely.
the Jubilee clientele, which is of elderly age. We definitely need to coordinate with them, because those folks won't be able to walk up the hills, won't be able to walk for long
It's true.
distances to get to the Jubilee. Also, we have another venue on the lower end, the pizzeria. Their concern was they'd already booked bands for Friday nights, thinking that Music on Main was going to be on Friday nights. Is there any coordination with your organization with those two entities at all?
Well, we certainly want to work together, Wes, and you know that. And I could see us blocking the parking lot across the town parking lot beside the ABC store, blocking that all for the bank parking lot for the Jubilee people, which I think that would solve. And pizzeria, when I did Music on Main back in 2016, 17, and 18, pizzeria did their own thing, and they do a wonderful thing. They have a band sometimes inside and sometimes outside. But I think that as the amount of time that we have to prepare for this, I think those bands could be rearranged probably. Or they could book another band for Saturday night.
Have you coordinated with Lisa at the chamber for the days and make sure that there's no events that coincide at that time?
Lisa and I met, and I feel strongly about this. I think our role should not be to work with the merchants and to go in and connect with them. I think that should be Lisa's role, because she's the chamber and she's built that relationship with them, and we'll certainly work in any way that we can. But Lisa and I've worked together and coordinated all of this and met and made these decisions, and they knew that, yes.
If I may.
Cole, go ahead.
Last year, I was on the Music on Main committee, and we worked directly with the Jubilee. The Jubilee had their dancers out there for Music on Main. They had a band out front. There is absolutely no reason why it can't happen again. As somebody who worked on that committee last year, we're talking about for this year, 5 days out of the entire year. I mean, that's all they're asking for is 5 days out of 365. I think there's enough for everybody to make money, to have their events. The pizzeria even on Music on Main without a band, is gonna be packed because we're limited to the number of spaces we have to eat in town. So everybody's gonna make money, and again, I mean, if they're willing to block off First Community Bank parking or the town parking for the Jubilee folks, I don't see that there's any issue. And Millie, to your point about the cruising guys, the chamber has reached out to them and they have yet to respond back and to confirm that they're coming. And again,
That's not correct.
okay, and so since we've spoke, they have. So as of today, they are. But again, that goes hand in hand. They can come and they can cruise in, and then everybody enjoy music afterwards. Again, there's enough for everybody to have a piece.
And certainly appreciate that, certainly pertinent information. And on the cruise, and I did get in touch, the cruise-in organizer guys in Arizona, but someone told me that our phones do work that far away, so I did get in touch with them. So the cruisers come in and they park, but you're gonna continue, you're gonna shut the street off for 2 blocks for Music on Main. So the cruisers, so the cruisers are gonna come, I'm just trying to visualize this whole thing. The cruisers are gonna come in as they normally do, and they park in all parts of town. And then at the prescribed time, which is 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when do you shut the street?
We have voted as a committee to move it from 5 to 7 for the bands along the street, because older people trying to end early and get home sooner, and then do the headliner 7 to 9.
So
And
the,
if I remember correctly, the cruisers come in the afternoon about 3 o'clock, and they stay a couple of hours, and they park on the street, and it brings a lot of people into town,
Right,
which
right.
helps their merchants and that kind of thing. So to me, that would be an added benefit for Music on Main. They've got a reason to stay around and enjoy the music that we've worked so hard.
so, and good point. So you're closing the street at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I didn't,
That's up to the town, but our event starts at 5.
We would prefer before 5. But I think currently, we haven't voted on the cruisers coming, so it's a moot point.
I don't see the cruisers being a problem. I do have a question. Tell me a little bit more about this Taste of the Arts.
Do I have anybody here that's on the committee that would like to speak? Madison, you want to speak to that? Come on.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's a great thing.
I was not prepared to speak. Okay. So what the Taste of the Arts is gonna be once a month, and we're gonna partner with different artists from all around the county. And so they'll do one artist per month, and you'll be able to buy tickets. And it's like a bake and take art class. So we can do it at their studio, or we can find a common place to do it. So for example, would be a piece of jewelry with glue, and she would teach you how to do the jewelry making, and then at the end of the class, you get to take the piece of jewelry with you. So it's just an opportunity for
I was
people,
just curious.
yeah, for people in the county to learn some new kinds of art. They're really excited.
And we hope to have 12 artists, 1 per month, and we plan to start that in the fall. And it's just another way to connect.
I understand, and I
artists.
appreciate it. I just had that question.
Any other questions?
Not for you. I would like for Lisa, if Lisa can bring in the chamber's point of view on the dates to make sure everything is lined up, so to
Yeah,
speak.
so, sorry to sneak in from the back of the room, but, yes, right now, the change of Music on Main from the Friday to that first Saturday does not interfere with any events that we've been notified of. It doesn't interfere with the Fiddlers Convention. The only thing that, and it doesn't really interfere with it, but it is on the same day as Fiber Fest. But Fiber Fest will be over that day before Music on Main can commence. It doesn't interfere with Mountain Heritage Festival or anything that we've been notified of, the regular events that happen throughout the year as of right now. Also, the cruise-ins, I actually spoke to Jim Cox today. I told him that Music on Main was being, we were coming tonight to have it approved for that first Saturday. And he's willing to move that around, maybe do it another Saturday or another day. So we're working on that right now. A lot of it just depends on what happens here tonight.
Is he comfortable with just moving it to another date and everything?
Yes, he always gets his input from his cruisers as well. They do want to come to Sparta. They're very excited about that. Gives a lot of the local folks something to do as well as brings people from all around the region. So right now, the change in Saturday is not conflicting with anything that I've been notified of.
Have you went out to the merchants and asked them on Main Street if it was,
They were
Okay.
notified, we have not asked them.
okay, so they've been notified then?
Yes.
So, and no feedback from nobody?
Not yet, no. Actually, I think, a lot of them, it will be really up to the merchants. It doesn't matter how much I talk to them or ask them, it'll be up to them what hours they hold that evening, whether it be a Friday night or a Saturday night. We had some who participated and some who closed down early, and I think that'll be the same no matter what night you hold the event.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
This is on the agenda later.
He has it in his, manager's report, so we'll,
Unless y'all want to take action.
that's up to you guys. If you want to take action now, he said you can take action now
We can wait till events.
until then. Okay, so we'll wait till our manager's report. Up next is a request for the display of the mural by Diane Morrison.
I'll give you a little photo.
Oh, boy.
I did a little
A
photo.
little photo.
I got big photos.
Oh, okay, you kept it.
Mhm.
Ooh. Okay. Oh, I appreciate you having us here tonight. My name is Diane Morrison. I'm speaking on behalf of the Allegheny Arts Council. At your February meeting, Mr. Ryan Wilma made a proposal on our behalf and we appreciate that, to hang the mural that you have in front of you on the back of the stage at the Krause House. At that time, there were several questions and concerns about that, that understandably Ryan wasn't able to address. So we have come back this evening to address some of your questions and concerns and to propose, make our proposal again to see if you might reconsider us hanging our mural on the back of the stage at the Krause Park. In 2020, just to give you an idea about how this came about, was in 2020, I believe Barbara, our president, was approached by some of the Allegheny County commissioners, and they asked if the Arts Council couldn't do something to honor the agricultural, deep, rich agricultural history of Allegheny County. And she said, yes, we would try to do that. And as a result, we did an artist search throughout 25 counties in western North Carolina for an artist. We asked for proposals, we got a proposal, and we commissioned a $16,000 mural to pay homage to the agricultural heritage of the county. The mural was completed in July of 2021. It's 7 feet tall and 32 feet long. It's a panoramic mural. It's not individual pieces. It's a panoramic mural, as you can see, that depicts the New River and multiple actual natives of Allegheny County who were known for their agricultural and farming prowess. That mural is currently in storage in the town storage shed because it was made for the north side of the ABC. When we got ready to install it on the north side of the ABC store in September, as you remember, the big earthquake was in August. We removed some of the siding on the ABC store and there was structural damage. And our installation was halted, and it remains halted. And it's our understanding that the future of the ABC store is questionable, whether it will stay, whether it will be repaired, whether it will be torn down. And we would really like to get this mural out of storage and up where the community and visitors to Allegheny County can enjoy it. It will also have an educational component in that, you know, those little QR codes that you see in restaurants now where you scan it with your phone and see the menu. The mural will have one of those, and anybody can go up to the mural and scan it with a smart device and hear a story about the folks in the photo, on the panels, and the history of farming and agriculture in Allegheny County. And it's a beautiful mural. I mean, that paper that you have doesn't begin to do it justice, and we would really like to get it up. We have searched far and wide for a space that's big enough for it. The back of that stage is perfect. It's 40 feet long. It's the wooden part of it from the bottom of the, where the paneling starts to the top is 12 feet tall. And the mural could be installed there easily, and it would be up off the ground far enough that it would not be subject to too much vandalism. People wouldn't be able to vandalize it easily, I don't think. But we would really appreciate it if you would reconsider the decision that you made. Our proposal got turned down in February, and we would appreciate it if you would reconsider that and allow us to get the mural up before the public and put it on the back of the stage at the Krause Park. I believe that Barbara mentioned to me that the Allegheny Arts Council was given a TDA grant. And when we got that grant, maybe Barbara can speak to that, I'm not sure, but it was sort of contingent on us making an improvement to the stage in the Krause Park.
I'll speak to that. When I went forth to the TDA, before they would give me a second, they asked me to please make a promise that we would improve the stage in Krause Park. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't own the stage, the Arts Council doesn't own the stage, the town owns the stage. But I did promise that I would do anything I could to bring awareness to the problems that the stage has. And I have spoken about some of those things to Ryan. And this mural would enhance the back of the stage. It's up high. That protects it. There's a row of bushes in front of it. That protects it even more. And it leads to the farmer's market, which the whole thing is on agriculture. And it just would make a perfect display there. And think about it, when you turn at the stoplight there, how many people go to the hospital? How many people go to Wilkes Community College? How many people go to the library? How many people go to the park? And you're making all of these improvements to the park. And I cannot think of a better way to enhance that stage than for us to do that, if you all agree to that.
Mr. Wilma, can you get us up to speed, or maybe if everybody else is already up to speed, on what's the deal with the ABC store? Is it not going to be fixed, or we have earthquake money? I mean, Barbara's got a lovely point. It would be nice to put it down there, but the original location to me would be more optimal and certainly more visible. So what, can you give us a status on?
I don't have a lot to offer other than the town of Sparta does not own that facility. That is the town ABC board. They're an independent entity that can do whatever they want to with their facility. I do know they have recently engaged the earthquake folks. I do not know the status of what that arrangement would look like.
So and I know we've had this discussion before. So who, did the ABC board tell you all you could put it on the building? Or did we tell you?
No, we've been working with the ABC store since day one.
Okay, so they made that commitment. Okay, so we can't do anything to alter the state of the ABC store because it belongs to this entity, although they operate under us basically as we are the municipality that the ABC board does operate under, but we still don't own the building. Is that correct?
That is a correct summation.
Well, there you go. There you go.
These are on plywood, correct?
They're on MDO plywood.
Right, the weatherproof. And your plan was to attach it to the side of the building, is that correct?
Our plan is the MDO, the mural itself has got to breathe a bit, so our plan was to put some 2x4 pressure treated framing behind it, especially because they span 7 feet, you're gonna have to have some 2x4 strips across kind of to support between the top and the bottom of the mural.
Ryan, do we own the parking lot for the ABC store or not?
Not immediately adjoining the property.
But we would add
We
that.
own across the meeting.
Have you looked at the option of maybe putting, is there a way to put it at the farmer's market and building a frame at the farmer's market out in the front there and hang it from there?
I would prefer that it be much more visible than at the Kraus house. I mean, I'm not saying we won't do that, but, and I see Barbara's point about a lot of people, but a lot of people who do that are not visitors. They are local folks. So the object that I see is to get it for a lot of people to see it. Would there not be some way to, instead of putting the 2x4s on the side of the building, would there not be some way to put some 4x4 posts and put it right there?
Is it not conceivable that we could communicate with the
ABC
ABC board and see what their plans are in
I
this?
don't see how we could do that because eventually they're gonna have to make repairs to that wall.
Robert, you got anything to say on that matter?
Robert, a former council member, please share.
Well, I'm on
Come-
the ABC board.
Come on, come on up to the,
Well, please come on in.
come on up to the podium,
down.
Robert.
We've met a lot.
Yeah, we have.
The ABC board isn't opposed to, you know.
Oh, no, I know they're not opposed.
Like I say, we took the siding off and we had some damage to the building and we're gonna do some major renovations to the store. We considered going into another location, but probably it's gonna end up being this store where we are now, and we've talked about this. I mean, they can go ahead and put it on there, but when we do renovation, we're probably gonna have to take it off.
How long do you think the renovation's gonna take?
Well, we're gonna do some major stuff, the whole store.
So you're
Inside
talking
and
2 or
out.
3 years?
No, hopefully, we're getting the contractor and everything else, we've been saving up for this for a while, but it's gonna happen. We can get a contract, getting a contractor, we can't, get somebody to give us a bid on it, but we're not opposed to the mural, but it's just a matter of, if you put it up there and then we have to move it, what do we do then? But
Well, the thing about that too is it's a piece of art.
I
And when you
understand.
put it up, you're gonna put screws into it, you're gonna tack it up, and then when you take the screws back out, you're gonna
Can't take it up and down.
mess with the integrity of the piece of art. So I just don't, I think I'm not gonna say no to that if that's our only option, but the optimal thing
Would
would
it
be
be
to put it up
possible to
and
do a
leave.
temporary?
Well, what about, how long before you renovate? Do you have any idea? Will it be before the end of the year?
Oh, well, hopefully not, but see,
Before
that-
what, the
this
end of the year?
this thing, they've had it's been in storage, but I know they're wanting to get it up, but, like I said, we can't, tell you exact time frame, but we're planning on some, really upgrading our store.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
and I
6
know,
months ago when we tried to start installing it.
I know that there's some other murals planned in the future. So if we relocated this one somewhere, would you be willing to work and allow another mural to go on after your building's renovated?
Like I say,
They wanted this mural really. as
But
much
even
as
if
they
it's a
wanted to put
different
it there.
mural, I mean,
I would say so, but you know, I'm speaking for, I'm one of three on this board, you know, I can't speak for everybody, but this was, you know, we had approved this, and then we took the siding off and we got cracks and damage in the building, and, you know, we've been trying to get the earthquake people over there to look at it. We can't, you know, that's a process too, you're in a line, you're way down the line apparently.
is it a
One
cinder
thing
block
that I
building?
wanted to,
Just a minute, Mike, go ahead.
Is it a cinder block building, Rob?
Essentially, yeah.
You got cracks in the building.
one thing that I wanted to bring your attention to was that we paid $16,000 for this mural. And we sent a fundraising letter out asking for people to give us money toward the price of this. And they did. They generously gave. And if I were one of those people, I would be saying, where is it? Because we've had it a long time and we've had it in storage. And so we need to get it out. We need to let people see this. So
Well,
time is of the essence.
and I think it goes hand in hand with the farmer's market. And I mean, we're about to invest almost $500,000 at the park. And I think this would just be an added bonus. I would make the motion to approve the location behind the stage.
But I don't think that we would have a problem, you know, like I said, when we get things done, moving it up there, but that's another.
I would be more in favor. I mean, I'm not against that. I really would like to see it up where more people can see it. I would be in favor of giving you permission to put it at Krause Park on the stage, maybe with the thoughts, at least, of moving it after these renovations are made.
Okay.
Would that be possible?
I definitely think it's possible to move it. I just think you have to think of the integrity of that mural.
So your thing is, once it goes in, it's in.
And again, there's more murals planned for the future, so I mean,
His motion to.
All right, you made a motion.
He is, I have a motion on the floor to put it on the stage as it is, on the back side of the stage where the Christmas lights are still on, so they'll have to come off. Of course, but I have a motion to put it on the back of the stage. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And I have a second. All in favor, show of hands. All against? 3-1. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate that. Agenda item number 8, as we continue on, is our community blight presentation by John Porter. John, okay.
Good evening, council.
Did I say your name right, sir?
No, it was spelled wrong incorrectly. Last name is Porter, Newark.
Porter, right?
Nice Italian boy. I'm here representing some family LLCs that are business owners recently here in Sparta. We own the 16 Main Street building, the old barbecue building, Sunflower building on Whitehead. Our LLCs are our family. It's myself, my wife, my sister, and my brother-in-law. We came to Sparta, I came to Laurel Springs 14 years ago, and have been quietly living in Laurel Springs and enjoying Sparta from time to time. In living here, we came across, just kind of accidentally, the reality that this is a really cool place to not only live and participate, but it's also a good place to invest. So lo and behold, the first purchase was the Sunflower building, and we put a lot of repairs, infrastructure, painting on that building, and lo and behold, it was blessed with a beautiful parking lot across the street. Increased the value of that building. We also purchased the 16 Main Street building, which houses 4 different rental units, and we have been blessed with wonderful tenants and reaping the benefits and the economic rewards of providing a really nice facility to people that want to run businesses here in Sparta. We found out that by renovating these buildings, upgrading them, they're worth a little bit more, and they're worth a little bit more to our clients, whoever they might be. Thus, purchase of the barbecue building, where we have now taken the Tutti Frutti lady, who was pretty much crushed for space, and she's taken over the top floor of that building. She's going to increase her square footage, be able to provide better service to all of the lovely people that visit Sparta and eat ice cream. And she's also going to open up the back area for more merchandise, flowers, and things like that. And also down in the white building, on the Sunflower building, another brand new business opened up down there and is doing a wonderful job bringing people into the county as well. I'm an educator. Have been in education for 45 years. Grew up in New York, went to Florida and came here. I know I'm kind of the big bad guy, the boogeyman, who has that qualification, but I came from New York and by way of Florida to here because those two places were just insane. This is a place where people enjoy one another and talk to one another. And it's a small town. It doesn't need to grow great and big and huge, but it does have to support itself. And the businesses here need to be in concert with one another. We need to be able to work with one another and understand the benefits of each business taking care of one another. I know that this was on the budget as a blight presentation, and I don't know how much blight I'm going to be talking about. There is some that we need to take care of, but being someone that's been involved in volunteering here in the county, I was on Blue Ridge, Friends of Blue Ridge since I moved here, been volunteering up there. Now a member of the Arts Council, which is an exciting, but a head-shaking decision I made to take on that one, but all good. And also been working with Lost Province for the cultural arts up in Lansing, developing their, helping volunteer with their school up there and the cultural activities that they're starting to get together up there. So I'm really been kind of paying attention to what goes on around town and what's important. I'm also an excited member of being a member of the community, business community, part of the Sparta Historic District. I mean, what a great thing that is. I mean, I thought that was fabulous. So anyway, I'm getting ready to come up here and talk about issues, and I got a hold of my water bill and noticed that there was that little SpartaTown.org spot where I came across your comprehensive land survey. And many of the things that I read in the questionnaire were the things that I was coming up here to talk about. But I guess you guys have a little bit of a finger on things, and you're looking into the things that are important to making Sparta successful. But there are some concerns, understanding that that plan is going to be a long, drawn-out plan. It will take time to implement the decisions you guys make. But there are some things that need to be addressed now. They're not things that need to sit around and be, talked about. They're pretty obvious things and pretty simple things, I think, in the realm of things to get fixed. So just to give you a little quick idea about the three buildings that we've got, they kind of, if you think about where they are, it gives you a little triangle that makes you walk up and down Main Street and also down 18. So the foot traffic gives you the opportunity to walk some pretty neat places in Sparta. Of course, traversing the sidewalk that comes up 18 is a little shaky. But the catch is that all three buildings are giving people an opportunity to walk around town and see things. The catch is that sometimes the walker that walks these places, they're gonna see some really beautiful things. And then on another blink of an eye, maybe not some beautiful things. On those walks where they go up and down and walk the beautiful streetscape. So there's good and bad. There's beautiful things here in Sparta. The historical buildings are fantastic. I mean, look at the bricks. It's just really neat stuff. So I think we need to pay attention to the fact that when people walk around town, they see not just the beautiful buildings, but the other things that are kind of floating around that are not so happy. Which brings me up to the things that Barbara was talking about. We've got 6 months of people coming to Sparta on Saturdays alone, guaranteed that we spend in the weekends. We happen to be running a bed and breakfast now at the bottom of the 16 Main Street building. Since we opened in November, we've had over 30 bookings. Those people come anywhere all along the East Coast, from up around Ohio, New Jersey, down to Miami. Some people come here just for hanging out. Some people come to pick up pottery. Some people came because they're building houses here. Others come to look at property to build houses. So we are bringing people into town all the time. And it's not just for the events that we have in the summertime, but those are the ones we really need to focus on. They bring tons of people here. Those people, as you all know, visit our stores, our businesses, restaurants. There's only a few of those guys, so they're going to be packed during those times. But along with all that, those people are also seeing the things that they should see and the things they shouldn't see here in Sparta. So I think that we really need to keep in mind that between now and May, we need to focus on what Sparta looks like. The simple things, not the hardcore things that are there as well, but the simple things. One of the things that I'm aware of, and I think all of you that are homeowners understand this too, is maintenance is the most important preservation treatment for extending the life of historic properties. It's also the most cost effective. You let a building sit closed up, all right? It may be closed, but the temperatures up here raise and fall. They trash a building, within 5 to 10 years, it starts to deteriorate. We have historical buildings here. They're made out of brick, they got mortar. They do be affected by the weather very much. We can't let them be deteriorated. What happens to our historic district? It's not there anymore. It's replaced by wannabe historic buildings. And that's not what we need here. We need to bring the people here to look at a beautiful town, a happy town. A well-maintained property is a more valuable property, one that will survive a legacy for generations to come. With that in mind, let me just jump back, because I'm an old guy. I don't want to put the pressure on my brother-in-law, but he's pretty old too. So we're not going to be here for a really long time, but our kids are going to be here. The next generation, the legacy that the people that have lived here forever and have buildings here that have been transferred from one family member to the next family member, the legacy of those families, that can't go away. That has to still stay there. But there's also going to be a future. And the future is my legacy, my brother-in-law's legacy, my sister's legacy, our family. We want our kids to be able to come here to Sparta and want to stay here and continue to make it a good place. And my kids have the same values as I did. We've raised them good, they're successful, and I want them to be successful here in Sparta. That's why we invested here, because it's a friendly place. And I want the buildings to stay intact. So whatever has to happen from a county or a city or state, city's perspective needs to be taken care of. And I think in your land comprehensive land plan and survey, many of those questions are viable questions to help the town stay the way it is. So the structures are in fact the backbone of the historic district, the backbone of Sparta. If they don't stay intact, there's no backbone anymore. All right, and I came from Florida. I think the historic buildings in Florida are old dollar stores. I mean, that's probably what you're looking at when it comes to these buildings are truly historic. They have, I read the grant application for the National Register of Historic Districts, one grant, and all of the histories of the buildings. If you don't have a chance, you gotta sit down and read that. It is incredible to learn about the buildings here in this town and the ownerships and all the people that have been involved in the transfers. Fantastic stuff. That has to stay intact. So that's why I'm here. I'm here with the fact that those buildings need to stay intact and our community needs to look beautiful for our businesses. The bottom line is Sparta's gonna be hosting summer events, a really long party for the summer, every Saturday. It's an historic town. We have great businesses. So stuff needs to be maintained, junk needs to be picked up, and we need to remove eyesores and enjoy our shining town. I'll leave you all to ponder this. When you have visitors to your home, do you afford your guests a comfortable, clean, accessible, and welcoming home for fun and fellowship? Sparta is our home. Our visiting patrons should see it as that. Thank you for listening. I look forward to working with you all. If you have any questions, we're more than happy to answer if I can.
Any questions for Mr. Ford?
I have a small little, is that up from Ryan? Small little presentation, just to follow this, just to wrap that up. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. That's it, start.
I'm a stone's throw from the mill, and I'm a good walk to the river. My working day is over, we'll go swim all the cares away. Put your toes down in the water, and smile across your face, and tell me that you love me, lovely lady. Now I ain't the sharpest chisel that your hands have ever held. Darling, I could love you well till the road's cold. I've seen my share of trouble, and I've held my weight in shame, but I'm baptized in your name, lovely lady. Lord, the wind can shiver as the waltzes o'er leaves, been rushing through my timber till your love brought on the spring. Now the mountains are blushing, and they don't know what to say, except a good long line of praises for my lovely lady May. Now I ain't the toughest hickory that your axe has ever felt, but I'm a hickory just as well. I'm a hickory, y'all. I came crashing through the forest as you cut my roots away, and I felt a good long way for my lovely lady.
Hey,
We do have a nuisance ordinance.
anybody else got anything you want to add before?
I would just like to say that I know to some that this will seem negative, or seen in a negative light. But for me, kind of a funny story, not really, but I'll tell it anyway. As a kid, washer and dryer broke one time, and probably more than once, but one time in particular, we went to the soap opera, and my mom drove this old beat up blue Chevette, had the type with the hatchback that you could only open with the key. Well, we had gotten back to the house from the soap opera, and I was helping unload the laundry, and the hatchback shut on my thumb. Mom was already inside the house by this time, and so I was just screaming my head off, my thumb, my thumb, my thumb. And she had to come running out, fumbling, trying to get the key out to unlock. And so every time I drive by the soap opera, it reminds me of that. But if that building was to fall in and something goes up in its place, that memory fades away. And I think it's important that we preserve the legacy of these buildings, preserve those memories. People come to town all the time and, they have memories of these buildings. We that grew up here, we have memories of those buildings. I mean, we had Millie's family had the Blue Ridge Sun. Something happened there, we would lose those memories. Same thing, the Wagners with Farmers Hardware. I mean, it's more than just preserving buildings, it's preserving families' legacies. And I think with ordinances, and I think we're taking steps to move in that direction to make sure that we don't let those buildings fall in, that we kind of force a hand a little bit to make improvements happen.
Mr. Porter, you gave an exceptional presentation. A little lengthy, but I can go with that because I'm a little lengthy myself. And we hear what you say. You came here and you chose to invest. Now, this is still what it comes down to the bottom line and everything is finances. Now, our town, and I will be very brief, from 1980 until now, first we had the Walmarts came in 30 miles away from us, two different places. Retail collapsed, 92, NAFTA, the industry collapsed, et cetera, et cetera. So you're running this little video here and you're pointing out these places and you're saying, you're basically doing what the people in any area, whether I was going to your town in New York or whether I was going to your town in Florida, the thing that really, really galls people is they've been through a collapse, an economic collapse over the decades. And then you come here and you're a pleasant guy and you've invested your money and that's wonderful and we appreciate that. But then you turn around and say, you people better straighten this mess up because we've done our part and you better do yours. Well, sir, if they had the ability to do that, they would, because I know these people that own every building that you showed on that film. Now, what my challenge to you, sir, is you need to reach out and you need to find folks with similar interest, with the love and the passion that you had to invest in our town, to purchase these buildings and do the things that you, in other words, you can't beat a dead horse, okay? So these folks, it's not that they don't want to do something, but the economic reality is they're in a place now where they're stuck. So in all respect to you, when you come in and say, you people better do something, they're sitting back and saying, buddy, you hadn't been here for the past 50 years.
Can I respond?
Certainly.
Just yesterday, I had this revelation in my head. It's probably always been there. But I thought about, I was telling my wife that this would extend my extensive presentation. But back a while ago, a long while ago, I got a hold of these old antique railings. They came out of a school. They were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
With the intentions of using them in one of my homes that I was going to design. Those railings sat around. They sat around and they deteriorated for a number of reasons. One, my economic situation. I was a school teacher, I had no money.
Right.
So I understand economics. I understand that not everybody, and I would think that many of the buildings here in Sparta have been handed down from one generation to another generation. And probably some of those generations have chosen, well, I don't really want that. But they want to hold on to that legacy. And I understand the economic value when somebody hands you something and you can't afford to take care of it. I understand that. And I'm not here, all right, to say fix the problems. Doesn't take much to cut a piece of grass or clean up a little something. It doesn't take a lot of money to do those things. It takes a lot of money to refurbish a building, to renovate, understandable. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking for the simple things, like the parking lot behind our building on Main. We've cleaned that a number of times. All right, in the median between the parking lots, we put pumpkins in the season, not that it has to be that way, but we upkeep that. It's not ours, we upkeep it. It's part of our buy-in to Sparta.
Right.
It's pride. If you're part of a building, I saw those wrestler kids, those kids had pride, they were winners. They had pride in their team and they each took care of one another, and that's what the business community has to do here. We need to take care of one another. We have to have pride in being part of Sparta.
And sir, I do respect and certainly I feel that and do empathize it. Just one other tiny little point. These buildings that you showed pictures of, there's 832 people, property owners who pay property tax in the town of Sparta. Now, there's 1,700 folks that live here. Now, those folks have to pay property taxes on to keep the town running. And to your point, those 832 people and USDA and some other entities built that parking lot across from you and increased the value of your property. So when you say when just to make this circle complete, when you say these people need to take pride, they need to do something, they've already done something, my friend. They've given you that parking lot because they've been paying taxes for years and years and years, and that went to provide you that parking lot, which out of your own mouth you said increased the value of property. So I'm just asking you, just be a little easy on these people. It's not that they don't care; they're doing the best they can, but they're donating every single year.
I'm not being harsh on them. I'm expecting every business owner to take the value I take. I'm not asking them to do more than me. I'm asking them to do the same as me.
I understand,
That's all it is.
but
And the county and the city need to take their responsibilities, and if
we
there's,
certainly do,
and
no
if
doubt.
there's things that are not being held up, I think that's basically what your survey.
Yes, sir.
is gonna take care of. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we
Mitch.
appreciate you coming.
Appreciate that. I want to encourage everyone that to take the survey that is on the townofsparta.org website. It says mayor's message there. You can go on there and you can click. And this is a land use, parking, utilities, annexation, appearance, recreation. There are so many things on there for you to look at, fill out, and kind of give everybody an idea of what we need to do and where we need to go. But I want to give the citizens some assurance here. This council has already started the process of trying to beautify our town as much as we possibly can. If you've never been on a council seat, in a manager's seat, or a mayor's seat, there's red tape every time you turn around to go do something. We've already took the initial steps to make our business owners and our homeowners aware of current violations, okay? We are also upgrading our ordinances that have been in place for the past 50 years or so. So this is a constant battle that we are doing. It's not that nobody's sitting on their hands. It's not that nobody's doing nothing. This council is actively engaged in upgrading our ordinances to meet the standards that the state has. We continue to do that with our attorney too. She's a big part of that also. We have to go by certain things, certain statutes, certain laws, certain restrictions that we can do. We just can't go out and we can't tell somebody, you got to do this. 9 times out of 10, they're going to look you in the face and they're going to not do it for spite. Okay. So let us do the proper thing. Go to the website and fill out that survey. And with that being done, we'll move on to agenda item number 9, and I'm gonna turn it over to our town manager, Ryan Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town council included in your packet is a fiscal year 21-22 budget amendment number 1. That is reflective of many of the projects that the town has undertaken and approved. So that is some ARP funding, splash pad project, as well as some line item transfers, and that is for your approval.
Real quickly, Mr. Wilmoth, professional services, $4,000, what's that?
That would have been partly for the comprehensive land use plan that we just undertook.
Very good. Bank charges, $6,000.
The bank increases their charges at the beginning of the year. They put new stipulations in place, so we have to cover those
So
costs.
we never know where that's going, do we?
What they do.
Capital outlay, $6,950. I mean, most of our capital expenditures are already in the budget and
Right, we're
That
just
would have
moving.
been the dumpsters.
dumpsters.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Chamber of Commerce, $2,000. What did we not give them before that they?
That would have been, their line item encompasses economic development, and that would have actually been for the ag fair.
Oh,
Thank you very much. I'll make a motion. We pass.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands, please. 4-0 on the amendment. You want to continue on with agenda item number 10?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Town council also included in your packet is a special revenue grant project ordinance, which encompasses the $8.3 million that the town received in the State Appropriations Act. That allows this budget and the projects identified within this ordinance to run over multiple years and to be accounted for by a separate accounting mechanism. And that is for approval as well.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second on the end. All in favor, show of hands, please. 4-0 on that. And continue on, Ryan, when you get you a drink of water right there. We'll go into our budget process changes.
I apologize for not as budget season, but that is, or budget meeting, but that is the season that we're in. So it's probably never good to start a conversation with, please allow me to clarify, but please allow me to clarify this point. The next two items are related to our upcoming budget process. I am in no way indicating, accusing any kind of accusation that there has been or ever been any kind of mismanagement of funding by this town or an entity that receives the appropriations. What I will say is, all the federal and state funding that the town has received does come with some stringent strings. And to understand those strings, myself and Ms. Show has been involved in significant training over the last 6 months, weekly. And through that training, there has been a focus or perhaps a refocus on budgeting processes, appropriations, and financial responsibility by county, towns, etc., that receive taxpayer funding. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to be very transparent with our budgeting process, because that is our intention. We want the taxpayers to understand where their money is spent, and they are always welcome to come see those. As part of this whole process and my rambling to this point, the legislator has enacted a law in December that became effective January 1st, 2022, that limits elected official interaction with nonprofits that receive appropriations from, in this case, the town. So while I understand that some of you may serve on those nonprofit boards, the language does include appropriations, contracts, etc., as an area that the legislator is trying to provide oversight for. So I included that new session law that came into effect. One, because I think the taxpayer and the nonprofit entities need to understand if we take a different approach or you're no longer able to serve on their board. I don't want anyone to think that we're being unfair. So I provided that to you for review. Our legal counsel has had the same documents provided, and I know she's compiled her own research. So she is a resource to each of you as you navigate through that new legislation.
So basically what you're saying is, if we're giving money to some nonprofit or whatever, we cannot be on the board.
That would be my interpretation of that legislation.
Okay, that's fine.
Or you have to recuse yourself from vote. But if I understand it correctly, the way we do the budget process, we adopt it as a whole. And so if we recuse ourselves, we have to recuse ourselves from voting on the budget entirely, or change our budget process and vote on it piece by piece. Would that be correct?
And I don't want to put Whitney on the spot, but I do track where you're following. I think that is a fair and safe assessment. I think it keeps us very much in the black and white arena to take that approach. Okay.
There are some exempt things in the statute, so if you want to come up with some specific questions, I'm not gonna on the spot answer your questions. But, fire departments, rescue squads, those kinds of things are exempt from this, which is something some of you are involved in. There's some size requirements for our town, things like that.
Now, I've been on the Brock board 20 years. Not by my choice, but how that railroad is, you know. But, you know, the town does give money towards Brock. Now, Brock, some of you that knows what that is, it's a Blue Ridge Opportunity Commission right there. It's Ashe, Allegheny, and Wilkes counties. And I am on that board, and people on that board, they got a representative from the towns, representative from the counties, and for some reason or other, I'm the representative for the county, even though I'm the town councilman.
Just elected.
But I don't get no money out of it. I just have to run up and down the mountain all the time. So does that go against this?
That's a state. It works with the state.
I would check with Whitney. There are some exemptions and exceptions that govern mental health, public health departments, hospitals. That would be a Whitney question.
That'd be a Whitney question.
So you can earn your money.
So, good.
I just want to introduce that piece of legislation. As we get into our budget process, there does, the law does contain a penalty for engaging in that activity. So I want you to blow Whitney's phone up. She's sitting over there not doing anything, so please schedule a time to discuss your unique situation, and she can provide some guidance for that. The second piece that I want to introduce tonight, although it is not new legislation, this training and all this funding does bring about an opportunity to look at our appropriations. We do give about 10% of our budget to our appropriations for our community partners, which is important. What we have to understand is, even through that appropriation and expenditure, the town council is still responsible and accountable for how those funds are spent. And the court has provided some litmus tests for us to gauge, does it meet what we have authority to do? Does it meet the public fund expenditure allowables? Does it benefit our citizens that drive our tax base, etc.? So we're getting ready to send appropriation letters out. And I want us to be very transparent in our expectations when we give out appropriations. Currently, we send a letter drafted by the finance officer that says, tell us what you want and we'll consider it. So I think we, for our own protection, need to understand how funding is spent. And then the law does provide us some protection by giving two options. Any entity that receives more than $5,000 in public funds has to fill out a 990. We can request the 990 and the financial statement as part of the appropriation request. So that's one piece. There's also legislation that says a city or county can require an entity that receives an appropriation of $1,000 or more to have an audit, with the exclusion of a fire department, a rescue squad, etc. So we could require along any spectrum for someone to have an audit if the council chooses. But at minimum, I think we need to include the language of why do you want the funding? How is it going to satisfy public use? And then provide us your financial statements. I know that was a lot. Peggy and I will try to answer any questions.
I would just like to make a statement. We have been, like I said, in class, and we have received several millions of dollars. So we will be under scrutiny. So we need to be proactive to make sure that we have all the policies and that we're doing what is asked of the state, because they will be coming in several times, as I have been told, to look at our books, and look at our policies and procedures.
And Miss Peggy, I think that certainly we appreciate you all going through all this, and when they tell us we gotta do it, but I think in the end run of this is, it's gonna be good for everybody, because we're gonna be scrutinizing a lot closer. Somebody can't just come in and say, well, it's gonna be really good for the community, and we're like, okay. So I think it's a good thing, and seriously a good thing, and appreciate all the hard work that you all have put into it. But I get the gist of it, which is just what Ryan just summed up. So I see it as certainly a win for for us and the taxpayers, and appreciate your attention to detail that you can and we will have whatever documentation that anybody needs when they come in. So it's perfectly clear to me.
Is this just a matter of what we approve or not, or is it a matter of we need to make some more ordinances?
This is more so, yeah, we do. We need to make sure we specify that when we give appropriations to the nonprofits, that they give us either a 990 with their financial statements, or that over a certain amount, we require an audit.
Right.
Okay, but that's more of an action thing, isn't it?
I mean, that's already, we don't
For
have
the
to,
council to make that action.
Okay, all right. I just wondered if we needed to pass them.
Do you need that action
Additional
now,
orders.
or you wanna wait till the budget session?
we're already
Well, I have
required
to send out the
to do
letter,
this.
and we do give, some of,
We already gotta do it.
appropriations are over the $5,000 range. It can be from 1,000, but the council really needs to set the amount for an audit. And they say up to anything over 5,000 requires us to have an audit.
So they've already made that decision for us.
Sure. Okay.
So if anybody don't like it, they can talk to the state of North Carolina.
So do you need a motion to go ahead and go through with this as is, or you wanna redo it?
No, the finance officer does need to get the appropriation letters out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that we can have them back for our discussion.
Yeah.
So inside that letter, I do want to include whatever the requirements of the council is, so that entities have that knowledge going into it. So I can provide you with a recommendation and y'all vote on that, or you can create your own.
But we'll do all this when we have that budget meeting, right?
Then we need to do something tonight, so she's getting ready to send out the appropriation letter, so we need to get the right language put in the letter now. If we're going, if you get a $5,000, we're gonna ask for your,
I'm,
an audit or your 990 or
Right.
whatever.
so I make the motion that we use the language that the state's required us to use and send out the letters. Is that the motion needs to be made? Miss Peggy's,
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I said I make the motion that we use the language that the state has required that we use, the 5,000 limit in the audit, and you send the letters out. If we have to make a motion, they've already told us we have to do it, but if we need to make a motion too, I make that motion.
What's your recommendation, Peggy?
Well, I did want to make this statement. For anybody who's received over the 5,000, they have not had an opportunity at this time to get an audit done. Okay, so it would not really be fair to them at this time to require an audit, but going forward, that should be our request. They have an audit done for the 22-23.
Correct.
For the next upcoming
Right.
budget.
Right, but we do need their financial statements, and they do need to show that they're using the funds for public use.
Right.
And if they have a 990,
We
we
want
need
it.
that.
So
So
I don't,
that's what my letter will be, but going forward after this year, we need an audit.
so I don't need to make a motion. We already have to do this, right? So I rescind that motion because we don't need to make it.
Right.
So
You'll write a good letter, I know you will.
do you need a consensus of this? Is that correct, or?
If the council is in agreement with the language provided in statutes, we will use that. I do want to provide a clarification point. There is no requirement for an audit. It says we can. The 5,000 mark is if they receive public funds, they have to report a 990. But we have the authority to impose an audit after $1,000 at the council's discretion.
That's in the
You're
statute.
recommending we do that?
It's in the statute.
That's in the law right there. what we
That's
just
it,
said.
law, honey. We don't get to recommend it. not do.
159-4.
There we go. So
We've already got that.
by the consensus of the council, is the council by show of hands in favor of that document right there?
Then we're gonna go by the statute. I'd certainly vote to go by the statute.
There we
You
go.
have a choice.
Good. There we go. 4-0. Does that help you out? Hey,
And we do appreciate,
you good, right?
we do
All right.
appreciate you all. This is
Let's quickly go into our manager's report.
So, just as an update to the town council and the town citizenry, I did get an updated, earthquake, recovery for our sanitary, sewer project. So they are currently on 18 and Dar Street, and they anticipate finishing up mid-March. They will then come back to Duncan Street and make the connection from Duncan Street to the bypass by way of Veterans Park. And they will be there from mid-March until the 1st of May. They will then start on the 18 West Whitehead, Collins Road area, the DOT mitigation area, and they will be there from the 1st of May through the 1st of August. And then they will go to Mitchell Mountain, and they will be there from mid-August through the end of September. And then down here on Sunset in 21, they will take the month of October. So we will publish these. These are a tentative timeframe. Certainly weather and material will affect that schedule, but that is out. And we will notify those areas. Second item, I had a meeting with Western Youth Network, which is a youth development nonprofit. They currently provide after-school programming at Sparta Elementary. They are located in Boone, and they serve our area, and they are trying to expand their offerings into Allegheny County. They would like to expand to a summer program. So they are wanting to do a 6-week program while kids are out. The problem with being located in the school, they can't be there during the summer. So they have approached us about using the Krause House Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. It'll be about 20 kids. And it would start June the 6th and run through July the 28th. No Fridays, no weekends, and it would be 2 individuals managing those
Do
20.
you have anybody presently using the building at that time?
We do not, other than the Krause House pickers on Monday evenings. That should not be a conflict. Typically, our schedule is not busy Monday through Thursday. It's a little busy on the weekends, but we don't have anything on the calendar.
Motion approved.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands. 4-0.
Just a reminder, our work session dates are March 28th and 30th here at 5:15. Moving into the events, the First Baptist Church is doing their annual crosswalk from the elementary school to First Baptist Church, 5:30 on April 15th. That will not require road closure. It will be a rolling road closure if you will approve that.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor, show of hands on that. 4-0.
There has been an Easter egg hunt in Krause Park requested on April 16th at 11 a.m. by Allegheny High Country Realty. be different age groups, on both sides of the park. There'll be some prizes and everybody gets sent home full of candy.
What day of the week is that?
Saturday,
Okay, it's not Sunday.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second on the end. All in favor, show of hands, please, on that. 4-0 for the Easter egg hunt.
last, and I think I'm done. Music on Main, Saturday, 6/4, 7/2, 8/6, 9/3, and 10/1.
Make a motion approved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, show of hands, please. All against? 3-1.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I have one thing, I would like to say we have received like $7 million.
Good.
Make it rain.
We'll go on into other business. And before I do what Millie asked for, Peggy, our tax, state taxes, we good on them, our sales tax? How is that looking right for us?
We have almost doubled our sales tax from last year.
Okay.
So we're doing really
Doing good, doing good. And thanks to all our merchants for doing that, because that really helps, and we appreciate that. Now we'll go into what Councilwoman Richardson added onto the agenda, zoning. If you want to start with that,
I'm
we'll go
gonna-
there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and folks, you've been here a while. And I apologize for not being here at the last meeting, but I wasn't. Just very briefly, I've been involved in land use planning and zoning and either on boards or covering it for many, many years. We won't go into how many. The purpose of zoning is to promote sustainable growth and development while protecting the rights of the existing property owners. It promotes development in areas where similar development exists, where there's adequate infrastructure. It protects the rights of the existing property owners who have invested to live in a neighborhood that suits their needs. Now, the vote that was taken last month when I wasn't here, and again, I apologize, that was on me. The situation on Reynolds Road, the lady, one of the ladies who spoke, Miss Miller, she had purchased property there with the reason she purchased the property is single family housing neighborhood, and that's where she wanted to live, and that's where she invested her money to put her home. Now, lo and behold, someone came along and bought a piece of property next to her, I think, 4-acre tract, and it was zoned single family, but they had other ideas for that property. And so they came here and it was agreed that it would be rezoned. Now, that, pretty much didn't really protect her rights and didn't take into consideration her rights. The vote to rezone that the Reynolds Road property did long-term damage to our zoning plan, in that it sent a message out to folks from near and far that you can come to our community and you can buy a piece of property regardless of how it's zoned, and you can come here and we're going to rezone it and you can do whatever you want to. Now, it set a precedent, which is a very dangerous precedent, because it has basically compromised the integrity of our zoning plan that we have followed and formulated over many, many years. So I think that we need to consider the implications of these rezoning requests a little bit more. And Mr. Wilmoth, in all due respect, Mr. Wilmoth, you and I watched the meeting, wasn't here, but there were some questions from Mr. Brady, Mr. Edwards. Is this the green light? Can they continue with this project? Is this the green light was the terminology used? And you indicated, no, it's not the green light because we still have some oversight. When in fact, under the concept and the law of zoning, once you rezone the property, these nice folks can do whatever they want to under that zone.
That would be an inaccurate statement.
And how would we be able to hold them accountable to anything more stringent than what that R12 zoning specified?
So what the R12 zoning does not do is provide guidance for subdivision. So if they want to create a subdivision,
Absolutely.
they have to come back.
You're absolutely
to go through
correct.
that process,
You're absolutely
which
correct.
is their intended use
And,
They can still build a single family residence regardless
right,
of the zone.
right,
They can build two houses,
that's correct.
but
but-
they could have in single family
Okay,
too.
so, and that is correct, and that is a very valid point. However, when we rezoned it based on what they wanted to do, that was the big hurdle. And I think any of you folks that deal in real estate will agree, that was the big hurdle. So does that project, and of course, the planning board gave it to us, does that project meet the zoning criteria? Now, and just from a casual observation, the site distance on the driveway into it's supposed to be 35 mile an hour. The speed limit, 350 feet both ways. What about our water and sewer? The main thing about zoning is you try to encourage zoning where the infrastructure is there. And again, the planning board should have asked some more pointed questions. I know at one point I asked about the sewer line on Reynolds Road, and I got to run around that, well, it goes so far and then it stops and then it picks up somewhere else. And is it adequate? Is the water adequate to add 12 more homes there? And the road is small and it's narrow, and the lady said there'd been several accidents already. So we're gonna dump conceivably 24 more cars out on that road. Those, and again, those are questions I think the planning board should have answered. Now, hypothetical, if these folks bought this property and we rezoned it, and so the housing market collapses like it did so terribly in 08, and they sit back and say, we had a plan to do this, but at this particular time, we don't think that's going to work. So we would rather look at something that would be more financially, less financial risk, say for instance, and that question was asked, a HUD project. Now, we have wonderful HUD projects in our town. I don't have a problem with them. But if these folks decided to change their minds and do a HUD project on that property, it's been rezoned. And that would be their prerogative. And I don't think we could say anything to them for fear that housing and urban development would be down here, on our tails pretty bad. So in my mind, I think that was a poor decision. I think we should revisit that rezoning request in light of these facts and the long-term implications it has to all the neighborhoods in our town. So my point to all this rambling is, Mr. Porter said, I would make a motion that we rescind the vote from the last meeting and revisit this and do a little more research and take it back to the planning board.
Madam Attorney, that is not allowed. That is a zoning issue that requires public notice, correct?
Okay, so
So we
So
will
I-
have to schedule another public hearing in order for that to come out then, right?
so I would,
No,
If
we
if
have
they
to,
entertain it.
we have to take a vote to rescind that action,
Right,
and that's her motion.
okay.
correct,
Yep. So if I have a motion to rescind
but
that action,
with the stipulation that you all make the proper notification for the public hearing, et cetera, et
Gotcha.
cetera.
I have a motion to rescind. Do I have a second? There being no second, motion dies. We will move on to the snow removal.
Very briefly, lived here a long time. I know that our boys used to clear the sidewalks from elementary school to Trojan Village. The main sidewalk from the old Farmers Hardware building to the Sparta, to the shopping center where Food Line was never touched. I know y'all were overworked, but I also know that we bought $35,000 piece of equipment. And I just was curious as to who made the decision. And it was a tough snow, I know, but there'd been tough snows in the past that we took good care of. So whose decision was that not to even touch that sidewalk and just basically let it melt?
That would have been mine.
And were there extenuating circumstances?
Considering the amount of snow, the struggle that we have clearing the sidewalk with DOT pushing snow
Right.
into that, that $35,000 piece of equipment you referred to was 2 of 5 pieces of equipment that was working.
Right.
Three of the other ones were in the shop, and we have 4 guys that clears 14 miles of roadway and roughly a mile sidewalk. I'm gonna give them kudos for that.
Well, and I appreciate it, and I didn't, that's the question I asked, because that's the main thoroughfare, and people that live in apartments use it, et cetera, et cetera. And then the liability, it was a horrible snow, and then it froze, and it was solid, and I couldn't move it at my farm, and you couldn't move it on them sidewalks. But I did just want to make that point, in respect to the folks who depend on us to keep those sidewalks clear, and I will shut up.
This time I'll open up the floor for public comment. At this time, you can comment on anything that's happened here tonight. If you do comment, please come to the podium, state your name, and I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Council, my name is Ben Massey, and I am a candidate for the North Carolina House of Representatives, District 93, which now includes Allegheny County. If it's okay, I'd like to introduce myself.
Yes, sir.
I'm a retired physical therapist, and we bought a house in Ashe County 22 years ago, and bought a farm in Ashe County. And I just wanted to come over and to introduce myself because in the last 9 weeks, I've been to Allegheny County 9 times. And I want you guys to know that I will not forget Allegheny County if I'm elected. I have got a website that's going to be going up this weekend, and it's going to have my priorities on it, which include agriculture, education, economic development, health, climate, and quality of life. These are the things that are important. Oh, I'm sorry. These are the things that are important to me.
They're your constituents too.
The reason I keep coming to Allegheny County is because I live in Grassy Creek, which is not far from Allegheny County. And the reason I keep coming over here is because I want to learn what is important to the people in Allegheny County. And I want you to know that when I'm elected, if I'm elected, that I will not forget you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else that would like to come up at this time? Yes.
Of course I do. All right, I'm doing. Thank you for Sparta Town Council, Mr. Mayor, Allegheny Arts Council. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Efren Whitehead. I'm the Senior Executive Director over at Allegheny Center Genesis. I just got a couple of general comments I want to make today. So we were outside. Mayor West said, "What's the bead you got going on there?" So we did a little Mardi Gras celebration over there in our neck of the woods. As I shared, the team got spicy today. I won't tell you how I got these beads.
You're sharing more information than we need to know.
I had a moment while we were celebrating with the team and the residents there, and said, in the midst of our joyous celebration and what we're doing, I want to take note of what's occurring. We've been watching what's been developing overseas, Ag Combat Zone, and I don't know why I was up at 2 a.m. this morning, but I was. And when I was, I briefly read an article that it mentioned 40 miles of Russian convoy, heading down to the capital. And so we hear 40 miles, and all of us would say, "Look, that's a long way to go." But I think a lot of us can't conceptualize that. And when you look at that, that is, and so in football terms, that's 586 football fields. 586 football fields. That we woke up, we didn't have to worry about that here. And what I shared with my team today was having a spirit in mind of gratitude and thanksgiving daily. So I got a phenomenal team over there serving our seniors. They're here, right here, homegrown in Sparta. And some come from other counties, but it's, they've been 3 years on pandemic, 3 years in a pandemic. And I think that sometimes in other industries, we may forget the brunt, but that's a 24/7 operation. And they come in day day out with the same heart of Thanksgiving, serving others, serving their seniors. And you know, really would, you know, what I would challenge us in here today, the group, it won't cost you anything but time. Look at any way you can show your thanks just for the, you know, entire staff there, those nurses, CNAs, environmental services, plant operations, people keep the building running, small handwritten note. Hey, feed us, we love to eat around there, but if anything that you can do to show Thanksgiving for what these men and women are doing, it's commendable. I'm truly honored to be a part of it, but I just wanted to make a mention of that and, you know, keep them in mind at the forefront, and let's all take away that gratitude and appreciation and thanks for the blessing that we have. So definitely want to send prayers up for the folks out in Ukraine that are battling for their land, and thank our military for being able to keep us, you know, when we woke up this morning, maybe we just spilled a little coffee, a little accident on carpet, but there was nothing more than that to worry about. So thank y'all so much for your time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate what you folks do over at Genesis Healthcare. Anybody else have any public comments before we get ready to adjourn? There being no further comments, I'll close this public section and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, show of hands. Full up here. We adjourn until next month. Well, that's all right. It's good enough.